Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'll be talking about the games I'm playing as of October 2025. Now, the thing about me is that I'm always late to great games, meaning I don't play games when they come out normally anymore. I used to, but that got expensive and time-consuming and stressful. So I just kind of decided that I was just going to play what I wanted, when I wanted, and that was the best way I was going to live my life. So while I make videos on games like Silent Hill F, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, Trails in Sky First Chapter, actually did play the original one of that, so that one wasn't as pressing to me. And then recently now, Digimon Time Stranger, I felt the pull to get back into playing games, at the zeitgeist moment, when everyone's playing it, everyone's talking about it. And there is something fun about that. But there's also a lot of fun to be had in playing games kind of away from all that noise. I think when I play a game at release, everyone's opinions, everyone's thoughts that I listen to, and I guess I could just block that out and then I wouldn't really have this problem, but I can't stop myself from hearing people talk about video games. I mean, here I am talking about video games. I think that's how I ended up here. No game was talked to death more. No game had more opinions. No game was more controversial, at least in this Japanese gaming sphere, than Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That's the first game I want to talk about. I'm finally getting to it. I think the game released back in January of 2024, I think. I'm not going to fact check that. But at least for me, nowadays, I primarily actually exclusively play on PC using Steam. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth actually for me came out this year. So it wasn't really that much of a break. I think maybe it was the original release came out in February, and then this came out on the PC release was in January. I think that's right. But again, who's fact checking? So yeah, so I'm not as late, as I think I am, but I am considerably late still, even to the PC release. I do remember when the game came out, people were divided on some aspects of the game. And I knew that, I think even on Steam, I think the rating's mostly positive, which is kind of surprising given the remake was so, beloved. And the fact that the critic score, I think it's a 90 something, 92 maybe. So generally very positive. You would think that the user reviews would kind of mimic that, but no. Seems like people are much more divided, at least on Steam. Maybe on PlayStation the user ratings are higher, but at least on Steam, there's way more divided opinions on the game. And yeah, I think while playing it now, myself, and I, kind of out of the noise, out of the discourse, I'm seeing what everyone was talking about. Turns out everyone wasn't lying. Wow, who would have thought? The game is huge, and there's a lot to do. The open world design is overwhelming, but also not. But also, I don't feel like I'm getting lost in it, which I think is helpful. The checkbox nature of the game actually lends itself to being one of the more digestible open worlds for me. And I think I actually now, this open world is worse than, I think objectively, from an interesting and quality game design standpoint, it is worse than an Elden Ring or a Tears of the Kingdom or a Breath of the Wild, but it's also so much less overwhelming than those games. And I actually think I'm going to finish this game despite its 90-hour long runtime, projected long runtime for at least doing the main story and the side quests. I played Elden Ring for about 60 hours and then I dropped it because it was just too much, and it felt endless in a way that Rebirth doesn't, right? Similarly, Tears of the Kingdom, I played for I think a similar amount of time, 50, 60 hours, and then I dropped it because it just felt endless. There's an endless feeling that maybe some people are empowered by, but I think I just kind of get overwhelmed by and discouraged by the sense that, am I making progress? Or Am I going the right way? Am I doing the right thing? Am I spending too much time doing this? And it's not just that. Obviously, it's like there's the fun aspect too, right? Like, but I think the problem. Why am I just talking about Tears of the Kingdom and Elden Ring? But I think it actually exactly makes sense. I think it makes perfect sense. These are comparable open world games that people praise and what people don't have a problem with. And people have a problem with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's open world because it's a checklist, because the activities are uninteresting, right? You have towers, you have these crystals that you just find, you scan, you find summoning crystals that you find, you scan, right? Chadley's bothering you the entire time. So it's like, there's caches and, enemy encounters that you have to go to. So it's like pretty bog standard open world stuff, but it's like achievable. It feels like, I can do everything and everything's clear to me and I'm enjoying it. Some of it, not everything. But the problem with Tears of the Kingdom is that, problem for me with Tears of the Kingdom is that exploring the world was freeing and exciting. I mean, I played it for 60 hours. It's not like I had no fun. I had a lot of fun playing that game. But exploring was the joy in and of itself. While exploring was a joy in and of itself, the rewards I would find while exploring so often would end up being a bundle of arrows, like a 5 stack of arrows. The game really didn't have anything to reward you with that I felt was meaningful in its exploration. That combined with the lack of narrative, that combined with me not really liking the combat, me not really liking the building. So while the open world exploration, while the open world was better, so many other things ended up not clicking for me with that game. And it felt endless. It felt like, damn, I'm 60 hours in. I've done, 2 of these spirit, whatever. I got 2 spirit friends. How many more are left? What's after that? It just felt overwhelming. Elden Ring. Exploration was, I think, pretty regularly rewarding up until a point where you felt like you had your build and you were really just looking for upgrade materials and you would find weapons you weren't going to use, armor you weren't going to use. That felt pretty discouraging. It didn't feel like every dungeon you go to, every which way that you went was giving you something that you wanted, except for the fact that the act of exploring was a joy. The act of exploring Elden Ring was phenomenal. The areas were phenomenal. The enemies were engaging, and the combat was great too, up until a point where eventually I just got frustrated with how much it was, and me with my weapon, things felt repetitive. I say all this to say, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is rewarding in its exploration. Everything you do is rewarding. Everything you do is filling a bar, getting you closer to leveling up, getting you stronger. It feels like even every material you find can be, is an opportunity for you to use it. It doesn't feel like, I can't use this. It's not part of my build, or what I got was so menial that it doesn't even matter. Everything kind of matters. Everything is available to you. But the problem is the exploration itself isn't interesting. You really are just going from icon to icon and in a checklist kind of manner, like the Ubisoft games that everyone complains about. So it makes sense why people are not really jiving with this game. But for me, I'm okay giving up exploration if I feel like I'm being rewarded for the actions that I'm taking, regardless. Because if there's no carrot at the end of the stick, then I'm not going to move forward, right? I find myself not moving forward. That's why I stopped in Tears of the Kingdom. There was no carrot. That's why I stopped in Elden Ring. There was no carrot. The carrot has to be the game itself, the exploration itself, the combat itself. And while I loved that part, and while I loved everything else about the game, those games, to a certain point, after enough time, they eventually lost me, because you can only spend so much time in one game exploring it endlessly. eventually the novelty wears off, and eventually you just kind of get tired. And maybe if I gave it a couple months of a break, I could come back to it and it would feel fresh again. But without that carrot on the stick at pretty much every corner, yeah, I just end up falling off. Whereas with Rebirth is constantly giving me rewards for going forward. I constantly feel like my effort is being rewarded, and that's why I'm like, oh, I'm 30 hours into this game, and I can see myself being 90 hours into this game and still wanting to push forward. Also, the story, which is right there. The story is right there. Tears of the Kingdom, there is no story. There is no party, really. Elden Ring, stories in the background. I'm a simpleton. Give me a story in my face, please. Thank you. Give me lovable characters. Rebirth's cast is amazing. They are amazing. Even just in the 5 years since Remake, which I also loved, I have grown to really appreciate the uniqueness and the wholeness of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's cast. I think they are exemplary in JRPG parties. And the more I play more JRPGs, the more I realize, wow, a lot of these are tropey and comfortable, but something about Final Fantasy VII's cast makes them feel on a whole nother level. And that's really pulling me through. I could talk endlessly about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but yeah, just to summarize, the story is kind of nonsensical right now, but the characters are pulling me through. So when I said story earlier, I think what I really meant was characters, dialogue, the side quests. Just hanging out with this group of people is very enjoyable. The game is incredibly joyous. I cannot say enough about this game. I still have so much to say. I got hung up on the open world design. The combat is incredibly fun. Incredibly fun. It's like better Xenoblade. It's like Xenoblade, but better. And I love Xenoblade. I've played 1, I've played 2, I've played 3, played a little bit of X, kind of fell off. I love Xenoblade. But this is like Xenoblade, maybe streamlined? That's a better way to say it than better, maybe. I think Xenoblade 3's combat is really fucking good. Xenoblade 2's combat is really good too to me. Xenoblade 1, maybe not so much. But yeah, the combat is just so and I'm not good at it either. Like I'm not good at it. Like I'm not good at this combat yet. But I'm 30 hours in, and I feel like I played with the same 3 characters. Like I'm kind of just playing with Tifa and Aerith. And I just got Yuffie. So now I have like really liked Barrett when I played it as him. And I'm excited to check out Yuffie. Obviously, we played a bit of her in the intermission game, DLC. But the combat's really fun. The virtual combat trials are tough and satisfying to beat. Man, the boss fights are amazing. The music is so good. The music, bro, like, just when you're exploring, and it's like, yeah, you're not really like exploring, you're kind of just walking from checkpoint to checkpoint, but having the music just blasting in the background, just the most beautiful tracks you've ever heard. And the game is visually stunning also, playing on my PC ultra wide monitor, 1440p, looks so good. It just looks so good, running at a good 70 to 90 FPS, somewhere in there. It just looks beautiful too. And the game is the budget is insane. I mean, there's just scene after scene that are just uniquely animated, over the top. I mean, it's like, I keep thinking this while I'm playing the game, that it's like, how is this game real? Like, this is like, so when you only limit yourself, like I do, to playing Japanese games, whether it's, platformers, JRPGs, whatever it is, you get a sense of the difference and the disparity the difference in budget between some of these titles, right? Even something as popular as Atlas puts a limit on how insane they go with their games, right? You would think Persona would reach a certain, because it's such a huge franchise at this point. I mean, it was niche before, but I feel like it's really grown now. It's selling millions of copies in a day, days. Metaphor came out. The difference in Metaphor's production value and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's production value is like night and day. It's like they're pouring so much money in this game, let alone playing something smaller like Atelier or Falcom's games. It's like this is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, where it's so bombastic, so everything is unique, it feels like. But also everything is repeated, which is funny. Where they spent the money. They spent a lot of the money on the cinematics. It feels like God, there's so many unique animations for characters, scenes, side quests. It's like, calm down, But then when you go in the open world, it's like another tower, the same animation, another crystal, another this, another that, right? It's all very similar in its open world, and all of the unique kind of dungeons, like that one chapter where you're going through the mines. It's like all of that's unique. You're probably not going to see all of that again. Maybe some of the mechanics you'll see again. So it's kind of smartly designed, where it's yeah, is it padded? Yes, probably. But it's also fulfilling the fantasy of exploring this world and doing it in a way that's economical, that allows you to have these crazy moments in the story and in the quests, while also, not being taking forever, right? We're 4 years between games. It's wow, this game was made in 4 years? This game? That's crazy. That's insane. So yeah, I think it's amazing. I really do. But I completely understand why everyone's complaining and why some people won't click with it. Especially in those moments where they have you moving the vacuums or crouching, trying to get around a chocobo. Why are you making me do this? You are literally wasting my time. And I get why that would be disrespectful to someone, how that could be taken as disrespectful to someone, and someone might just drop the game right then and there. I get that. But there's just so much else in the game that doesn't justify, but outweighs those frustrations. That's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I apologize for going so long. The cool thing about being younger and playing video games, relatively younger, I'm in my late 20s, so I'm not young anymore, but relatively younger, is that there's so many great games that I haven't played, whether it was access or money or even awareness. And I think Silent Hill 2 Remake kind of highlights that, in that we are living in unprecedented times. There are phenomenal video games everywhere we look, and I'm not just glazing everything. Trust me, I play not great video games, right? I played Dynasty Warriors Origins this year, and it was good, but I'm not crazy about it, right? And I played, what's something else I didn't like? The first Ender Lilies I played this year, and it was very amateurish. I think Ender Magnolia is way better, and is a phenomenal game. Ender Lilies didn't like, right? So I know it sounds like I'm just glazing games here, but I cannot like games. It's possible. But Silent Hill 2 Remake was one of the best games I ever played. I mean, it was just amazing. You hear people talk about games and they praise it, they overhype it, and you're always worried, oh, I'm going into this game and it's been overhyped to hell, it's been glazed to hell. Great. There's no way this is going to live up to the expectations. And I actually went into Silent Hill 2 expecting not to like it, because I'm not a big survival horror fan. I don't think I've actually beaten a survival horror game, unless you count Resident Evil 4, and I fucking love that game. Remake, by the way, not the original. Remake. I have a problem. But yeah, survival horror in me, it's not that I guess I kind of am averse to it. Resident Evil 2 Remake, I tried playing multiple times, probably 3-4 times. Could not do it. Could not get through it. I think the game is masterfully designed and incredibly made. The encounters, the puzzles, the RPD itself is just this beautiful puzzle box of a location. But I just don't find it fun to avoid enemies and not shoot them. I just don't find that fun. I don't find the conceit of survival horror to be fun. That's why something like Resident Evil 4, I fucking loved. Because you're just shooting zombies. You're just shooting zombies, blowing their heads off. It's a wonderful time. Little did I know, Silent Hill 2 was pretty much Resident Evil 4 mixed in with Resident Evil 2. It's like the perfect marriage of them both, with an actual good story on top of it, like an actual phenomenal story. One of the best narratives that I've experienced in video games, because it's talking about real topics with realistic characters, and it's, well, somewhat realistic characters, and told in a heady, unsure of what the hell's going on kind of way that's really engaging, has you coming up with theories. I was coming up with theories in my head as I was playing the game. That's how interested I was in it, and how I didn't want it to get one over on me, or I just wanted to figure out what was happening. And characters as well, like God, is it Maria? Yeah, Maria is so engaging, so so entrancing. Like, this character has so much history. You can kind of just feel like the way she's talking, the way she's playing with James. It's like, what is going on here? James is just this, like, he almost feels like this husk of a man who's just trying to do the right thing, but inside he like hates himself. And then by the end of the game, you kind of figure out what that's all about. So I just found, like, the story very relatable, and not relatable in the sense that I'm killing anyone, but relatable in like the human emotional sense. It was like, wow, this is like real art. And again, as someone who plays a lot of Japanese games, and I love Japanese storytelling, something about this game and the themes it was covering are just totally different than what a JRPG is going to cover, and presented in such a way that, you know, and the presentation here is just cinematic. You know, there's not really that many games on the Japanese side that's like this. This is a very Western-like kind of game. Like, this is a very Last of Us, very Red Dead, Rockstar, Naughty Dog kind of thing, with the storytelling and the presentation. Capcom has really great presentation, cinematic presentation, realistic presentation, like, but I just never really have loved their storytelling. And here it felt like the perfect marriage. Gameplay, so much fun to shoot people, so much fun to just have all this ammunition, rifles, shotguns, pistols, melee, so satisfying, stomping, so satisfying to slash. It was tough at the beginning, but eventually you kind of got the hang of it. Enemies are disgusting, so many disgusting, grotesque places you go to. Oh my god, it was like a nightmare, but then also somehow kind of cozy when you were actually in Silent Hill. Maybe even in like the inn area. There was like the fog, like something about it was very comforting, strangely. Maybe it was just where I was at when I was playing it. But yeah, just unsettling in the other world, but comforting in Silent Hill. Truly one of the best games I've ever played. I don't have too much more to say about it, but if you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Bloober Team did a great job. I'm so excited to see Konami coming back, mostly because I have not played most of their games. I want to check out Suikoden. I want to check out Metal Gear Delta. I want to check out Silent Hill F, because that also looks great. But yeah, Silent Hill 2 was just a phenomenal time. Last but not least, Shinobi Art of Vengeance, coming from Lizard Cube and Sega. Lizard Cube previously worked on Streets of Rage 4, which apparently was a highly regarded continuation of the Streets of Rage franchise, and apparently did so well that Sega was like, hey, you did great on that. Why don't you revive Shinobi? Which, honestly, outside of some... Honestly, I don't think I really have heard anything about this franchise. Like, I don't think literally anyone has talked about this franchise in any meaningful way. Like genuinely. Like, no one talks about Shinobi. Like, people talk about Ninja Gaiden. I'm trying to think other ninja-related games, action platformers. I'm trying to think. Naruto? No. No, but like really, Ninja Gaiden I feel like is the one that gets all the praise. Everyone's talking about it. It's been the more consistent one, right? 2D era, 3D era. But here comes Shinobi out of nowhere. And it was a part of that Sega announcement where they announced revivals of a bunch of their franchises. And, you know, this is the first one we're getting, surprisingly. And it's great. It's genuinely a great action platformer. I have some problems with it. Here we go. See, I can be negative. So at the beginning, I want to say for the first 4 hours of this game, I was kind of down on it, actually. And I think, looking back, it was mostly because of a build-up of a bunch of small things that really started to bother me, and some big, I think structural changes, structural decisions that kind of disappointed me. I think some of the smaller things, the wall climb / wall jump is just not good in this game. You know, I've played enough action platformers that I can feel confident in saying, like, yeah, you guys kind of fucked up like an incredibly important aspect of these games. Like, how do you fuck up as you're making a ninja Metroidvania action platformer game? You can't fuck up the wall jump. You can't fuck up the wall climb. That's like rule number one. But somehow they did it. Somehow they fucked it up. It just was not satisfying. It was not intuitive. It just didn't feel good. The next smaller thing, armored enemies. I'm not a fan of armored enemies, at least early on. Eventually you kind of get so powerful that it becomes kind of necessary to have them. But yeah, just was really frustrating. It didn't feel fun. It felt like an easy answer to make the game more involved. I don't want to say more difficult, but just more complex. It was like, yeah, we could make the enemies more interesting, or we could slap armor on them. And it's like, okay, I guess that's a solution. You know, again, it bothered me less as you got more powerful, but early on I was kind of just not feeling it. It felt like a cheap decision. I'm not gonna say lazy, just a cheap, smart decision, really economical decision, but just not a very creative decision, I would say. Not a very creative decision, yeah. And I think the biggest thing that this game has going for it is its art design, its presentation, its animation. Just absolutely beautiful game. Nothing looks like it. It's so unique. So stunning, and that's where all of the effort was put in. So much so that I actually think the level design is hurting from the ambition in the art direction and art design. I don't feel like this game was meticulously designed on the 2D plane like how I feel so many other Metroidvanias and action platformers are. You get the sense while playing so many action platformers and Metroidvanias that every inch was considered, that every wall is there for a reason, every platform is just as long as it needs to be, specifically to stop you from jumping somewhere or specifically to encourage you to jump somewhere. You know, everything is picture perfect. But in this game, it felt like so much space is given, so much wasted space, so much so that it feels like you're just kind of running for running's sakes or jumping for jumping's sake. And, you know, it's almost like it's there to build the immersion of this being a real location rather than serving the moment-to-moment gameplay. I think these early on were enough to make me be like, damn, like, I don't know if I want to keep playing this game. But I think the presentation and art and the combat, I think, were so strong that it was able to pull me through. You know, and I think knowing that the game wasn't super long also made me want to stick to it. People praising it as well made me want to stick with it. This is a game that came out very recently. This is one of those kind of exception games for me where it's like, oh no, I am playing this game near launch. I'm getting a lot of, you know, the praise kind of in my head. I didn't really read any reviews, but just that general sense that people like it, I think helps kind of push you through, like, what am I not getting? What am I missing? What can I find in the game? So yeah, really, really fun combat. Combos are really fun to pull off. And the upgrade system and the upgrade shop is one of the best I can remember. It's just like everything I wanted, every different combo that they were going to give you, different kind of attack. The upgrades were great too. It felt like, oh my god, that reminds me, the grapple hook, bad grapple hook, wall jumping, grapple hooks. How do you mess these things up? These are staples, man. It's crazy. Yeah, bad grapple hook as well. But the upgrades for the movements, different, you know, the charge punch, really satisfying stuff. The combat people cooked. The art direction people cooked. The level designers could have done a little bit better. I think the boss fights and the level design gets better as the game goes on. Either that or I just got kind of used to it. But yeah, by the end, by the midpoint, I want to say 5-6 hours in, I was really liking it. You know, I don't think I ever ended up loving the game, but really, really enjoyed it, and it is a great game that came out this year. And definitely recommend it if you're interested in it. I think there's some early stuff that will bother you, but for me, eventually I got over it, kind of understood what the game was, and was able to have a great time. That's going to do it for this video. Just wanted to talk about some of the games I've been playing. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know. Leave a like, comment below maybe what you're playing, if you've played these games, what you think about it. And if you want more coverage of Japanese games, Japanese games industry, make sure you subscribe. Goodbye.